Welcome back, my friends, to another episode of Can We Force It? From Mission for Tuition. This is the Warwick edition. I was asked several times if I could do a Warwick-centric force, and so that's what we're going to do. But before we jump into everything, remember it's called Mission for Tuition because we are trying to raise money for our son's middle and high school tuition. He has to go to a ridiculously expensive special school. Like, comment, subscribe, do all the stuff that helps the YouTube algorithm, and that will help the video get more views, and then we raise more money through ad revenue. And with that said, let's get started. Now, in these videos, I'm going to be grabbing the bow off every single carousel, and the reason is there are 3 key items I need for Warwick: Rageblade, Titan's Resolve, Quicksilver. And the bow is a key component in 2 of them, and I believe the Rageblade is probably the most important, so you're going to need to find a needlessly large rod at some point. Now, the way you build around Warwick, that can change depending on augments and how everything goes. I could have tried for the random 3 cost and hoped to get Tryndamere, but I decided to go safe and get the healing on this one. But let's go ahead and look at the champions you need to really do a Warwick-centric build. Of course, there's Warwick. Starts there. Then you want to build out Chemtech. So you have Twitch and Singed, and then the Tryndamere you're going to want to find at some point to tick the Challenger bonus. Then you have your additional Chemtechs like Zac and Victor and Renata Glass. But then you also want to start thinking about challengers, and there's a whole host of them too. And that would be Camille, and Quinn, and Draven, Kaisa, and unless you find 2 Tactician's Crowns that allow you to have 11 players on the game board, you can't put it all together, so you're going to have to choose. You're either going to go 5 Chemtech, 6 challengers, 7 Chemtech, 4 challengers, some combination like that, and you're really going to make that decision as you go along based on the augments and the champions you're getting access to. So let's see how this first game goes as I try forcing Warwick for the first time. In this game, I decided to start with mostly Chemtechs and only pick up challengers where absolutely necessary, planning on getting to the 5 Chemtechs first and then adding in the higher level challengers later. The second augment comes up and it's just not super friendly. I try for the true 2s in the hopes of getting some Warwicks. Random chance was not my friend today, but it did give me enough money to roll down and start looking for things so I can really fill this team out. As we're heading into the 3rd augment, I'm in the middle of the pack, but I haven't gotten a Rageblade yet for Warwick. So Featherweight's 3 should help increase his attack speed. Well, it will help increase his attack speed since he's a 2 cost. So I pick that up, and then I am lucky enough to get a Renata Glass. I can put her in and I have the components for a blue buff. But again, without that needlessly large rod, I don't have the components for a more Melicon, which is important. I'm about to put the rapid fire cannon on and decide, you know what, I have a reforger, I might as well try reforging something and see if it gives me what I need. I choose to go with the 2nd Titan's Resolve onto Warwick, and then do the rapid fire cannon and Runan's Hurricane on Tryndamere. I'm not convinced that was the right move, but I felt that giving Warwick more power, allowing him to get bigger, more tanky, and in people's faces was better than having him stand back, and for at least one match, it seems to have worked out. Ultimately, I think my choice to not give Warwick that rapid fire cannon hurt me, as it forced him to get into people's faces, and in this case end up facing somebody with a frozen heart that slowed his attack. And that was all she wrote for game 1. I probably should have gone with the rapid fire cannon and kept him back, but we live, we learn, we take the 5th place that we got, and we move on to game 2. Again, I picked up the bow off the carousel because that's going to be a critical item. The game really seems to want me to have featherweights, so I take it, because again, that's going to help enhance Warwick. But at this moment, the game is not really giving me much to start with. So I am able to pick up 2 of the Chemtechs and then put them out there and just hope that I can continue to roll and ultimately find the Warwick I need to fill this in. In any other match, I would have advised getting the 2-star Corky just to make this first fight that much easier on you, because you would have had a better chance to win, but I am forcing Warwicks, and so I decided to go with the 2 assassins instead, which, as you can see, was not a complete loss, as they ended up being surprisingly victorious. Now, this game was being so stingy, but by the time I entered stage 5, I still hadn't gotten a Warwick, and I was using Nocturne as an item holder for Warwick. But prior to getting the next set of augments, I'm at least able to pick up a Warwick, but I'm forced to double up on Singed and have to bring in Quinn to just tick the Challenger buff. The augments aren't great, but they're not awful. I can take the healing augment, which will help Warwick stay up longer. The problem has been champions. We're really not filling in this Chemtech very well, and the challengers aren't even that strong either, as we only have a 1-star Quinn and a 1-star Camille. I go ahead and put the Quicksilver on Warwick and hope that I'm able to get the Rage Blade as we go. In the middle of stage 6, we are at the absolute bottom, but I finally 2-starred the Warwick, 2-starred the Quinn, and I've got all the key items onto Warwick. So the question is, with these items, can he hold up in a fight? And it seems that the answer is, well, yeah, he can. Heading into the final augment, our position has drastically improved. We're not in the basement anymore, we're in the middle of the pack. We have 2-star Warwick, 2-star Tryndamere, and then the final augment gives us the shot at 2 Challenger emblems, which is going to allow us to go straight to 6 Challengers and should give us a ton more speed. I decided to bring in Victor and make him a Challenger along with a Spear of Sojin so he can cast more often. I've picked up a Kaisa, who's taken the place of Camille for now. Camille will come back, but the 7 Challengers, while making it very, very stressful at times, are able to hold on. And while after 2-starring my Victor, I really thought I had this one locked down, run into a different Yordle team who has a whole different answer, where the amount of my attacks just doesn't matter. Their power is a little bit too much, and they knock us out, but at least this time, we get a 4th place. Back into the grind, and again, I grab the champion with a bow, because I know I'm going to need at least 2 of them. Augments, not perfect again. I'd love to get some perfect ones, but I take Weak Spot in the hope that that's going to allow me to do a little bit more damage, cause some anti-healing, and at least I'm able to pick up Warwick right off the bat and get Chemtech started. Heading into the second set of augments, this game is feeling much better because I already have a Rage Blade on Warwick, and I get an early Renata who I know can go in really soon. I've got my Chemtech and Challenger split 3-3, which isn't necessarily useful. It'd be nice to go up to 4, but I don't have the 4th Challenger at this point. That would be Tryndamere, and I don't have him yet. The key is going to be what the next set of augments will be. It really likes us to have Featherweight, but I've done that twice, so we're gonna try something different this time. So we're gonna go ahead and grab Backfoot and then move the entire team back so that everyone in the back is getting a boost. Keep Zac out front as the tank to try to hold things up while Warwick is able to destroy them. We get critical Renata items, and with the increased attack speed, we hope that will carry. We get an immediate test of that against a mutant team, and Renata, with the more Melicon and blue buff and the increased attack speed for being in back, allows her to just absolutely pour out the damage. And even though Cho can't be disabled, he can be injured and can go down. Heading into the final augment, things are looking kind of nice. We've managed to 2-star the Warwick, have a second silver sitting on the bench. We're going to have a silver Tryndamere in a moment, and Renata is doing a lot of damage. But of course, this is supposed to be a Warwick-centric build, and our goal is to head there. We've got a couple of them, so we just need to pick up 3 more Warwicks, and we can make that work. The augments are going to be key, and Chemtech Unity is going to play a big part in it, especially since we currently have 5 Chemtechs, and Chemtech Unity comes with an extra Warwick. The only problem is we didn't get Warwick items, so it's time to use Camille for what we can use Camille for, and that is Reforge and Hope. I was hoping for the Titan's Resolve, but the Bloodthirster will do well because it will help with Warwick's healing. The NPC at the beginning of Stage 8 gave us a Quicksilver, so we now at least have that on Warwick, as we're headed into a fight that could mean the difference between top 4 or not top 4. This person has also been hoarding Warwicks, and we're 1 away. If we can eliminate them, it might put it back into the pool so we can get it. And we are able to take them out, and it brings us into the top 4. And now that all those Warwicks they were holding on their bench have been released into the wild, we have a chance of getting there. The Gold Warwick. And there he is. Along with a Renata Glass that we can take up to 2 stars in the next round. I was very surprised that even with a Gold Warwick, I lost the next fight to an Innovator Clockwork team. But then luck jumped in. This NPC had a challenger emblem, and the game handed me a Jinx. And Jinx could be the 6th challenger, which would be really, really strong. And luck played even more of a factor as I got the Jinx up to 2 stars and was able to pick up a Kaisa. So I now have 6 challengers, 5 Chemtech, with one of those challengers being Jinx. And remember, we have Chemtech Unity, so the Chemtech buff is impacting everyone. The game quickly comes down to me and 1 other player, who happens to be that Innovator build that I know is going to be trouble. But Warwick and Jinx can be absolute monsters in this game. And with that Quicksilver, it's keeping him from taking any CC, and Jinx is just dropping in and wrecking things. As soon as she appears, we're able to clear the 3 in a row and finish it out for the first place victory for Game 3. Game 4 was a game that started like this. Spatulas for everyone. I decided to go straight for Singed because I can make a Chemtech emblem easy without using a critical item. The Challenger emblem would require me to use a bow, and I want to save any bow I get for my Warwick items. This will require a Giant's Belt, which will not be a huge loss. The first set of augments come along, and yeah, Tome of Traits was really the only thing I could think to do there, as nothing else would fit. I was hoping for a Challenger or Chemtech emblem, and lo and behold, it gave me a choice of either, which is going to work really, really well into a Warwick-centric build. As we're headed into the second augment, the game is going okay. It took me a while to find a Warwick, and I decided to sell Singe so that I could move the Challenger emblem onto Twitch, since he's going to be more expendable later on, and also move that spatula over to the bench so that I can then basically use it for whatever I want and it's not set.
I'm hoping that maybe that's going to be another spatula so I can get a larger team size, but it's another tome of traits. It really, really likes giving me featherweights when I have trying to build Warwick teams, doesn't it? I don't know what it is, but it just decided to do that. Here, it said, okay, we're going to give you a Chemtech emblem anyway. So this might be one of those games where I may be able to get to 7 Chemtech, 6 challengers, or something crazy like that. By the middle of stage 6, I'm feeling pretty good about this build. We haven't lost in a while. We've got all of our Warwick items. We have 6 Chemtechs already on the board with the ability to get more, and 4 challengers already set, and we're consistently winning. Heading into the final augment, I've managed to gold Camille, so I put the Deathblade on her since it scales with the character level. I've gotten a Renata, so I now have the 7 Chemtechs. We're just looking forward to the last augment and hoping that it's going to help. And this presented us with a really, really difficult decision. Thrill of the Hunt will give us really good burst healing. The Chemtech crest will make it easy for us to get to 9 Chemtechs. I decide to go with the 9 Chemtechs and hope that that's going to give us the ultimate buff that we're looking for. But that also meant I have to give up on the 6 challengers because I only have 2 slots left. And it didn't take long for me to regret that decision. Now, I don't know if it would have ultimately made the difference, but I was hoping to get Kaisa and Victor and have Kaisa be a Chemtech and have the 9 Chemtech with Kaisa as the final nail in the coffin. But I never saw either of those champs, and I ended up having to try to rely on Camille to carry, and it just wasn't going to work, and we ended up going out at least in 4th place. The final game also didn't have a bow on the carousel, so I was forced to grab a Twitch with a needlessly large rod. The augments were uninspiring, so I grabbed Phony Frontline as the least bad option. But luckily I was able to find a Warwick in the shop, so at least I was able to start with 2 challengers. I sell off the Twitch because that rod is reserved for Warwick. The NPC rounds have been fairly friendly with items, and I have 2 of my Warwick items. The placement of my target dummies is so that they can pick up the aggro, which will allow Warwick to come around from the side and start picking up speed in his attacks with his Rage Blade. I'm hoping that he's not going to end up getting caught up on anyone or just straight out killed off the bat. I'm really hoping that Augment 2 is better than Augment 1, and we get On Guard, which can actually help us in a challenger build, because every time a challenger hits someone, it means they're going to be disarmed for a moment. So it's, for all intents and purposes, a really good stun. Having On Guard has allowed us to go on a win streak as our challengers are stopping people from attacking. I've also finished all my Warwick items, and I'm looking to pick up more challengers as I go. Our final augment, we will go with the healing augment, because again, it will help keep Warwick up longer. At this point, our goal is to go to more challengers rather than Chemtech, so we can switch Twitch out for Draven. By stage 8, we're still doing really well. We haven't lost a match since early on. The On Guard is allowing our challengers to just run roughshod over other teams. I'm looking to finish it out, hopefully with a Kaisa, and finish that part of the game off. There's one other player on this board who is at the same score as I am, and while we're both in the top 4, having 2 people at 16 is a little disconcerting, and Debonair Arcanists are not going to be quite as susceptible to On Guard as other teams might be. And that team proved to be exactly as difficult as I was afraid it would be. I also had not been able to get a gold Warwick, so I decide to sell off my chance for a 2-star kaisa in the hopes that that can carry me to victory. But this team is really tough to fight because disarming them does not do enough, and the spells are just simply wiping my team apart. You will see it very quickly that even with my 2-star kaisa, once their victor casts, it's pretty much all over. And it's a GG with a 2nd place finish. Now I'm going to allow this to play out because I was kind of surprised at something that happened right after this, because this is only the 5th video that I've done in forcing builds, which means I've played about 25 games on this account, all of them forcing builds, and I got promoted to purple, doing the forcing Warwick build. So forcing builds does seem to help you climb, and we'll see if it continues in the future. But let's go ahead and look at the scoreboard. Game 1 was 5th place. Game 2, 4th place. Game 3, we killed it, 1st place. Game 4, back to 4th place. And Game 5, which I was hoping to be able to win, we came in 2nd place. So we add 5 plus 4 plus 1 plus 4 plus 2, divide all that by 5 to get our force score of 3.2. That's a pretty good score, and I actually feel pretty good about this build. Even better than the previous video that had a 3.0, and that's because your carry here is a 2 cost, and I like hyper roll builds with low cost carries. So since Warwick is a 2 cost, I feel much more confident in being able to get him and get the items for him than I do waiting for a Sivir or an Irelia. The fact also that you can get Warwick into a Chemtech or a Challenger build, mixing the two together in some capacity, also gives it an advantage that other builds don't necessarily have, because your carry is a little bit more versatile. Overall, I like it. Obviously, it took me to purple, and forcing builds in general climbed much faster than I expected it to.
Hope you enjoyed the video and have an absolutely awesome day.